do you?
Do you like to do it yourself? All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the Part-Time Avenger, and that is Mark, the Resident Jedi.
Hello there. Today, we went to a theater. We saw a movie, and that movie had an asterisk at the end of the name, and the words before the asterisk, Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts. We have been waiting for a good Marvel movie for a while. I'm not going to say that the other ones have been bad. There have been some really great ones with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and obviously Spider-Man No Way Home. But by whole, I would say that the world has been kind of underdeveloped and not even underdeveloped, but not very impressed with Marvel's showing in the theaters and even the TV shows. Good God, we had to fucking sit through Secret Invasion, and that was god awful. So we finally have a movie by reputation supposed to be the next coming of the MCU. And oh, by the way, forgot about Deadpool and Wolverine. So there's been some good Marvel movies. So I don't know what the fuck the rest of the internet is talking about. Go fuck yourselves. There's been good movies in the past few years. I think we're just spoiled that all the movies have been up until Endgame were like fucking gangbusters fantastic. So I think this is just a jaded perception, but I like to do the optimist Marvel fan approach. But I don't know, man. What did you think? Did you think like, oh, is this going to be the movie that is really going to turn the MCU around?
I think that I went in with the attitude I've been going in with a lot lately, which is, I mean, how bad could it be? Loving that there's some Bucky in it. Unlike you, I enjoyed Black Widow very much because of Florence Pugh. So I actually watched it. I watched Black Widow like the day before I went and saw this, just to catch up because I knew that there were so many Black Widow folks in this.
Black Widow, when I first saw it, this was at the height of the pandemic. I paid for the $30 on Disney Plus to be able to watch it at home, and I was just not impressed. It did get better on a second viewing, and I did like Red Guardian, and I did like Yelena for Florence Pugh, but yeah, that was like the only thing. I wasn't super stoked about that movie. Like I said, it did get better after a second viewing, but that's not how I usually like to rank my movies. It's normally not like with an asterisk, like this is great, except you have to watch it like 4 or 5 times. If I watch it 4 or 5 times, it's because it's fucking great. It's not because I'm trying to train myself to think it's a good movie. So that's my only differing opinion for Black Widow. But overall, Thunderbolts, I had expectations that this is going to be exciting. This is going to be a fun movie. There was some talk about this early on because James Gunn actually had an interest in doing a Thunderbolts movie, but this is prior to him getting the Suicide Squad. So once he did the Suicide Squad, he was like, I don't really need to do a Marvel version of this, so I'm good. Did you think that this was going to be like a Suicide Squad version in Marvel?
Kind of. I think that that's what we've been conditioned to expect, right? We've been conditioned to kind of see the anti-hero as the anti-hero, especially with the way that this was marketed. I didn't like go out of my way to examine every single trailer, but you know, like some of them get in front of you. And with this one, it was very like, oh, all we do is punch and shoot. It was very like, why? So you kind of expected that. And it's a bunch of characters that didn't really have great interpersonal skills amongst their team members. So,
well, apparently one of them did because they were a Congressman Barnes, which is fucking bananas. I think I even said that same exact line during Captain America: Brave New World, but strange.
I mean, dude, people from Hydra got elected, right? So anybody can get elected. Anybody can get elected at this point
Hydra
in America and in that point in the MCU.
So as you were going through this and watching the movie, did you think like, oh, wow, this really is hitting home today? Or were you just trying to keep your blinders on and just be like, I'm just going to enjoy this movie. I'm going to watch it. That's it.
I mean, I don't think I tried to put my blinders on. I just sat in the movie. That's kind of how I approach it now. I've been disappointed enough to where I just kind of go in and try and absorb the art or whatever's left of art in this movie world, right?
Before we dive into the movie, let's spin it back a little bit and let's talk about your origin with the Thunderbolts. Have you ever heard of the Thunderbolts before?
Yeah, no, this was new for me. I was not
Mm.
aware of them.
So for all those who weren't like really big fans of the comics, Thunderbolts appeared in like an Incredible Hulk comic back in like '97. The team that people are probably most familiar with is the Thunderbolt Ross led Thunderbolts. So that's something where I think that was right around the Civil War era in comics, and uh, everyone thought that Red Hulk was going to be in it, especially because this is coming after Brave New World. Like, oh, are they going to recruit Red Hulk? But obviously, that's not the case. There were a lot of talks going into this. Is like, okay, well, it looks like someone's going to die. So if you saw the trailers and you noticed the absence of a particular character, you were pretty sure that this person was going to die. Now, to add more to that argument and to really solidify the fact that they were going to die, is that reveal for Avengers Doomsday. So they did the whole like 3 hour long broadcast of just like shooting different chairs and the names of the actors playing the characters. And there was one that was specifically absent, but all the other Thunderbolts were on that cast announcement. And so obviously, we'll talk about that a little bit. But did you have expectations of any particular people that were going to get wiped out?
No, I thought they'd all live. Like I did
No.
not think that they're I mean, it's a superhero movie.
So you didn't think that this was going to be the Suicide Squad?
I mean, who died in the original Suicide Squad other than the boomerang guy?
Oh, well, no, in the Suicide Squad, like the entire team died. The entire first wave died for the most part.
In the Will Smith one?
No, the Will Smith one fucking sucked. I'm
That
not
was the
talking about that
Suicide Squad.
movie.
That's my Suicide Squad, baby.
That's some bullshit right there, baby. That's awful, awful movie.
Mm.
Release the Ayer cut. Maybe that'll be better, but I don't know. I despise that fucking movie
And
so.
maybe you don't like it because all of them lived, or most of them lived, except for, the Captain Boomerang man.
No, he lived in that because he died in the second one.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Nobody died.
So there you go. You didn't
So
even
we were
watch
both
that. But
right. We were both
we're-
right.
we're going back to it. Mark didn't watch that. He didn't watch Wakanda Forever. He didn't really like those movies, so I'll give you a pass
I
on
watched
that.
Wakanda Forever.
Oh man,
From the
but you just
inside of
didn't
my
remember
eyelid.
you just didn't remember the back half of the movie as to why it sucked so hard. But
I mean, so there have been Marvel movies that near the end have caused me to nod off in the theater. Wakanda Forever was one of them.
oof.
There may be another that we'll talk about shortly. I don't know.
Well, here we go. Let's go ahead and dive into this movie. But Mark, let's give the listeners what they've all been waiting for. What is your version of the plot?
This one is complex. This one is complex. It is a bunch of mentally unstable and depressed superhero advanced beings that get double crossed and double crossed and double crossed and say thank you in the end.
The mental health thing was kind of like a very, very relevant theme all throughout the movie. Obviously, it goes from like the beginning scene all the way to the end, with the exception of the post-credit scene. Were you expecting that?
I was not. I was expecting superheroiness and just like our happy, hi, it's a superhero movie. Not that it was bad. I actually think it's very brave of Marvel to take a stand like this, especially in the current environment where the director of Health and Human Services is telling people that mental health is not a thing and people don't need assistance and all of these things. When we have a movie that stands up and addresses mental health in very deep and direct ways.
This is something that was very surprising to me just because we talked about it and we hit upon it in Moon Knight. And that was like, for the TV, like A Disney Plus show, okay, yeah, that's a fucking deep convo right there. Like I had to talk to my kids afterwards. Hey, this is the reason why this happens. But for this movie, it's serious enough for adults and those mature enough to kind of really absorb it, but it wasn't in your face like, kids wouldn't be upset about this. So I think that's where the difference is to where they kind of addressed it in a really great way, but at the same time, it wasn't like doom and gloom to scare kids off of this movie because they know it's a Marvel property. They know a majority of the fan base is going to bring their kids along with it, and a lot of the fan base is within a certain age range. So that was something where like, they're going to do this again. I'm wondering where this is going to go. I at the time I was watching the movie, I didn't do any research on anything else. I didn't go into like the deep dive that I usually do for movies. I just wanted to get like a good raw viewing of like, okay, this is what Marvel is going to give me. It's a nice steaming pile of Marvel awesomeness. But it could have been a big steaming pile of Marvel shit because I was also thinking in my head, like, didn't we kind of tackle mental health in Moon Knight? And do we need to tackle it again in this movie from a group dynamic? Maybe, maybe not. What are your thoughts?
I think that it's always important to tackle mental health, right? I think that Moon Knight was a like, let's be honest, there's no way in hell as many people that watched Thunderbolts watched Moon Knight, right? Even in opening weekend. This is a much larger scale launch and no disrespect to Oscar Isaac or anybody in that cast. This is just a much higher profile thing
Yeah,
that's out there. And for Marvel to consistently talk about these things, they talked about them in Captain America and the Winter Soldier as well, right? In the TV series, and
true,
all the
true.
problems that Kurt Russell's son had in that, right? The U.S. agent had. They definitely have continued, excuse me, down that path, and I think it's a good one. I think it's something that, you talk about, kids needing to be, needing to be kind of walked into it. I think it's more normalized in current society than it was when we were your kids' age, right? When it was still stigmatized by our parents' generation. I think that our generation leans into mental health in ways that our parents still refuse to.
The way that they were approaching for this movie, this is by far one of the most different Marvel movies. Like this is something where like we get dropped right into the thick of the action. Like you have Florence Pugh doing an awesome Tom Cruise-esque stunt. Right? It's like the second highest building in the world, and she was actually doing that stunt. Read some articles and also heard some interviews of her trying to fight for that. And the insurance company was like, nah, you're not fucking Tom Cruise. But congrats to Florence Pugh. She was able to get that done. And it was really cool scene with the jumping right into the action where she's trying to clear out the whole Sentry project and everything. I was wondering like, oh shit, are they going to just unveil Bob here and now, like at this time? And I wasn't sure if like I was thinking this is gonna be like a fucking high octane just thrill ride start to finish. And it kind of was. Yes, there's some dialogue in there, but it moves pretty quick. I thought the pacing was really good. If anything, it might have been too fast in terms of trying to get from action to scene to building some camaraderie and everything. But I enjoyed it. Big elephant in the room in terms of what everyone thought. A lot of people on social media and after the Avengers Doomsday cast announcement, everyone was like, yep, Taskmaster's dying. Now, did you think that Taskmaster was going to die that quick in the movie?
So let's back up. Let's back up because I want to call out the quality that you mentioned around the opening scene. I love a good monologuing over an opening, right? I don't think we get enough of it. The context that we got Florence Pugh's character, as it really like gave you a feeling of where Yelena was in that moment, and as opposed to the plucky spy that she was, and how relieved she was to be separated from the Red Room at the end of Black Widow, and the happy-go-luckiness that we saw in Hawkeye, to see her kind of just showing up in sweatpants to work, and just
Yeah,
like
strange
doing
outfit
that. I
choice.
loved it. I loved it because she's just like, I don't care. I
True.
can
True.
obviously do this easily. So seeing her go through that, it puts you in a good place, and it sets the table for conversations around mental health, because she's obviously in a negative headspace. I loved that opening, and her outreach for help to to David Harbour was a microcosm for what I already mentioned, how our parents' generation ignored mental health and lived in this dream world of the past, constantly looking at the past and living in it instead of learning to move forward. David Harbour's sitting there watching Betamax of old Soviet videos, right? And is not there to help Florence. He's immediately giving her vodka, right? And she's deciding whether she separates from it, whether she stays in it, all of that. And I thought that set the table so well. Love this stunt that you mentioned, by the way. I did not know that was her, but good for her. She can do anything. She's literally a superhero. Um,
She is A-list right now.
oh,
She should be in
oh,
everything, in contention for every role.
I mean, I thought everything I've seen her in lately has just been amazing. It was killer in Oppenheimer, playing his like crazy mistress, and she's been so good in so many things. So she should
Did
be
you
celebrated.
did you ever see the WWE movie where she plays
I
Paige, the
want to
wrestler?
so bad. It's on
It's
my list.
it's good. It's good. If you're a wrestling fan, it's good. There's a lot of callbacks and a lot of, Easter eggs and things you'll recognize, but she was great in it. If anything, she's probably more likable than the actual wrestler that she was portraying. I've been a fan of hers for a while, ever since that movie, and then when she was in Black Widow, I was like, this is going to be so cool. And I liked her better than Scarlett in that movie, so I was like, okay, this tracks. And I love myself some Scarlett Johansson, but she just knocks it out of the park every time. She's also very just forthright in putting herself into some of those roles and talking about it in interviews. It's really, I probably find it more interesting and more fun to watch a movie that she's in and then watch some of the interviews she does afterwards, because she just seems like a genuinely good person, and just very fascinating and interesting of how she kind of approaches the acting roles that she gets. So, Florence Pugh, give her flowers every single time. So, Taskmaster, did you think that Taskmaster was going to die in that fashion?
No, I also didn't think that they would pit them all against each other. Like, I thought that was a brilliant way to kind of set the circumstance of how their team comes together, because I don't think we expected that. At least I didn't expect that.
Someone
Um,
didn't watch the trailer.
I didn't. I told you, man. I'm
Yeah.
going in clean on these movies because I feel like it allows me to take the journey as it's written, not have assumptions, and just want to see how they do it. Right. So I have actual joy in the theater, as opposed to like, oh, I thought they'd do that better. I knew what was going to happen. So I did not expect it. Um,
What
I,
was your initial reaction after it happened?
that sucks. There's one less shield to go around.
Were you thinking like, oh, it can't be dead? Like, they're probably alive,
No, it was
like.
pretty obvious that they shot her in the fucking face. Right.
I
Like,
thought maybe it would have been like some type of bulletproof mask, or like, she has like a fucking
no,
titanium plate in her
there
head.
was very obviously a blood splatter
Yeah.
from that. So dead.
Like my jaw dropped. I was like, I laughed because everyone was right. Everyone was saying, yep, Taskmaster's going to die in this one. I thought that was going to be the case, or maybe they would just like write her out. It's like, oh, they all fight together and then Taskmaster gets sent on another mission or something. That's what I was thinking in my head. I was like, really? Is Marvel really going to kill someone? Especially someone who hasn't been redeemed yet. Am I correct in saying that? Like, Taskmaster has not been redeemed for anything that she has done.
I don't think anybody gave a shit if she was redeemed.
Yeah, but I mean that's the truth though. So they're killing someone that has no redemption arc.
There's no
Maybe there's
arc at all.
I mean, you go from an innocent child to a pawn in your dad's nefarious plans, and then you wake up. So it was just like, huh, that's interesting. And like all these widows are like, we'll look after her. Apparently, they didn't look after her because she got cold cocked, executed right there, and it was good. I loved it that Ghost killed her. It was so fucking sweet.
I mean, that was the most Ghost contributed to the entirety of the plot.
Oh, you didn't. So, all right, let's talk about that then. Did you think that it was just Florence Pugh and Bob heavy, and there wasn't enough development for anyone else?
No, they gave Harbor a ton. I think they gave Bucky a lot. I was waiting to figure. So, I didn't watch previews, but I've seen some of the press where Sebastian Stan just let it all go. Right, he shaved it. He buzzed his hair, and I'm like, when does Bucky buzz his hair and why? I was just like waiting for it, right? But they didn't give us that. But Bucky was super sweet in this, busted out the motorcycle and the Winter Soldier mines and shit.
Holy shit, man. That was
Like,
badass. That was
oh,
straight up Terminator 2. I
yeah,
was in the
yeah,
theater. I was like, he fucking cocked the shotgun just like Sarah Connor did, and then he fucking did
yeah,
the cool flip like Arnold, and
yeah.
his
No.
entrance,
Hmm.
fucking awesome. The
Hmm.
music lead up to that, fucking awesome.
Yeah, no.
So
So
awesome,
no, it
so good.
wasn't just the Bob and Yelena game. I mean, Bucky was big in it. I thought David Harbour had a lot of rope there. I even think they gave a lot to US Agent, but I don't think they gave anything to Ghost after the beginning.
Hmm.
Right? As they used her as a magnet and as an instrument of death. And then they said, "Okay, we're good."
I don't disagree. I think that Bob and Yelena are the top two, and I think that's strategic, right? They're the ones that come together at the end to kind of pull Bob out of his
Well, they're both in a dark place and they both are
yeah,
looking for purpose and they
the
find purpose
darkest,
together.
the
Oh,
darkest of places.
the
So
darkest of
speaking of
places.
dark
Hang
places,
on, I got a timeout on this and just say how does this Nepo baby get two roles with the same name almost in a row?
which Nepo baby?
The Pullman, Bob. He's
Oh,
Bill
okay,
Pullman's son.
yeah. I mean,
How
I
does
you said Nepo baby, so I was like,
which one?
Wyatt
Yeah,
Russell.
no.
Wyatt Russell is
Yeah,
definitely there.
definitely that too. Agreed. Agreed. But no, Wyatt Russell, I guess he did have two roles with the same name because he played the same character. But he played Bob in Top Gun, and then he
Yeah,
played Bob in this, and I'm like,
he he fought to get his name changed because I'm assuming because of Top Gun Maverick, but he wasn't the first pick for Sentry. Do you know who was the first
no, I
pick
don't know who the first picture Sentry was.
for any of the Walking Dead fans or even Invincible, the Robert Kirkman uh, comic? It was Stephen Yun from The Walking Dead. So he was originally supposed to be Sentry, but he had to drop out because of the whole SAG after strike, and it just didn't work with the scheduling. And I believe he either worked with Jake Schreier on something else, the director. Um, it may have been off of the TV show on Netflix that he was on, Beef. I'm not sure. Maybe just confirm that. But it was really cool to kind of see. There's some Easter eggs. You can tell that, like, oh yeah, it was totally meant to be Steven Yeun's character because, or Steven Yeun as Sentry, because they say invincible so many times in that movie. I think it's like 3 or 4 times that they say he's invincible. And it's like, yep, he is invincible, that he plays invincible. So it's kind of a cool callback to that. So I'm assuming they left that stuff in. Lewis Pullman, when I heard that he was taking over, because I'm a big Glenn from The Walking Dead fan, and I like Steven Yeun as an actor, but when I saw that Lewis Pullman was going to be in it. I was like, holy shit, this is going to be good. And him as Sentry, just that wild card of a guy, totally could pull that off. So there's that. He has like the innocence to him, but also at the same time, like he could play it dark. And I thought he did a really great job in that. Valentina, Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Seinfeld fame, she's back as Valentina. And what did you think of her trying to tie up loose ends of the Century Project? Century Project. Did you think it was just kind of like, oh, here's a convenient plot point, or were you thinking like, oh no, no problem. I have no issues with this.
Convenient plot point.
Okay.
I mean, especially as something that we have seen nothing of. We've seen her pop in and pop out of a few things, right? And then we're kind of given and spoon fed all this island of misfit toys people all just work for her on the side because they have nowhere else to go. And they've been doing missions for a long time, but nobody says anything about them doing missions, including Captain America or anybody else has said anything about them doing missions. We're just doing missions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm assuming it's the Black Ops covert stuff that you don't want to talk about. Because I'm assuming the way that Yelena is speaking, she just goes on executions all the time. Like every week, there's an execution, if not every day. She clocks into work, kills someone, goes back home, drinks until she falls asleep. And it seems like John Walker, U.S. agent, Wyatt Russell's character, is kind of that same way because he comes in almost like full Bucky Barnes. He's got a shield, he's got a gun, and he is not afraid to use it, which is refreshing to see. We haven't seen Cap fire a gun since the original Avengers movie in 2012. After the whole realization that like, oh, okay, we're here sent to kill each other. They're all smart. That's like the good thing is like they're all pretty smart. Walker was trying to it seems like he's the dumbest, but he should be the smartest out of all of them because he's a decorated war veteran. And for some reason, he can't just fathom the fact. He's so full of himself that he can't fathom the fact that like Valentina's going to kill me. Like, nah, it can't be.
I thought that he's gotten sloppy since Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he had to be polished. He was fresh in it. All eyes were on him. He was Captain America. Now he's gone through all these struggles and stuff, and you can see that he's beaten down and he's got a short fuse. And the brutality of the fact that he's leaning on a fucking hand cannon in the beginning of this, it makes sense.
Are you saying that just because he has a gun that he's lesser of a hero, if you will?
No, because he's not a hero. We've seen somebody go from a position where they were supposed to take over this mantle to where now he's an assassin, which is not something Cap would ever do. So you see the where his values lie as opposed to the larger scale. I think it fits for his character for sure.
See, that's where I disagree. I don't think it fits his character because in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he's not the most likable guy, but you still have empathy for him. You know, he didn't want to be picked as Captain America. You know, he's still thinking to himself like, oh, yeah, I mean, what am I doing? Like, I'm just a normal guy. I'm not Steve Rogers. He has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he's very, I would say, confident within himself. I think this movie, he's full of himself. In Falcon the Winter Soldier, he was confident. And he kind of needed to have that confidence to be Captain America. But there was something that was missing that I thought was like genius in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the TV show. After he took the super soldier serum, he developed this tick where he'd like kind of like just nod his head a little bit and he'd twitch a little. And that was consistent throughout the rest of the show. And even when he gets his new uniform as U.S. agent, he does the same thing. So he's kind of like tweaking, right? That was one thing I was missing in this movie. I wanted him to have that nervous, almost psycho twitch to where he's interacting with the other Thunderbolts and he's just like, yeah, no, we'll do this without killing anyone. And then he like just flies off the handle and just starts offing people. Like that's what I would have liked to see to where he's that unhinged because he was kind of on the teeter right there. You know, he went crazy after Lamar got killed, Battlestar, and then he executes by like chopping someone's head off with Captain America's shield. But is he ruthless in this? Yes. Is he's more calculated in this than he was in Falcon and the Winter Soldier after he took the serum. So maybe it's his adjustment period, but I was missing the psychoticness in it. And I thought that would have been a nice development for it. But maybe I suppose they didn't do that just because Bob already was going to be that polar opposite of everyone.
I don't know that he was polished. I think that he was just holding on. I mean, yeah.
In this
I don't know.
movie,
Yeah.
he's pretty cool as a cucumber for everything. He gets angry, sure, but he's a skilled tactician. He definitely adjusted to taking the serum very, very well because he has no problem going after all these people and all these people coming after him. He's cool with it. He gets angry that, Yelena didn't turn on the lights or turn off the lights or whatever it was, but he still takes care of business. Yeah, just a little bit of an inconsistency from the show that I would have liked to see translate in because I feel like he did such a good job trying to make us like the character in the TV show that I was hoping to see some redeeming qualities. But he's a fucking prick in this movie. Like, everyone hates him in this movie. He leaves his wife and his baby, and
Didn't his
that's
wife
not a
kick
good
him
dude.
out?
Or well, whatever it is. I guess she kicked him out. Whatever
That's a
Bucky
totally
says, I
different
can't
thing.
remember. Well,
That's
yeah, either way,
totally different thing.
he's viewed as a piece of shit because even Yelena looks at him after Bucky says that, and she's like, yeah, you are a loser. Even your wife and your kid think so." And he just takes it. He's just like, "Yep, all right, I'll take it." So that's part of the genius of that character that I like, but it's just a little inconsistent for me. That's all. So Bob is Sentry. What did you think of his character? And did you have any guesses, or were you trying to figure out like who the fuck is this guy in Scrubs?
Well, they made it pretty clear through some cutovers that something's turning on a person, and then he just kind of pops up, and they knew he came out of a box. So, I mean, I got it in the context clues of the scene, but it also, I don't know. I didn't know who Sentry was prior to this, right? Like, not familiar from a character perspective, not part of my understanding in Marvel, right? And I don't know when the character like debuted per se, but yeah,
So
not something I remember.
Sentry, yeah, Sentry is a weird. I don't know have a lot of history with him myself personally. I didn't read a whole lot of comics that he was in, but to my understanding, Sentry is basically Marvel's version of Superman. He is just super kick ass. So many different skill sets and powers, and he is invincible. And he could probably take Superman down no problem just because he has that darkness in him. But that's the catch 22 is that he is, and I don't know if it's distinguished in the comics that he's like bipolar or whatever, but he does have this alter ego, and that's the Void. That's the whole dark, devoid of any color, everything. It's just all darkness. That's who his alter ego is. So he has a hard time kind of balancing that. So him and Moon Knight are kind of very similar. Like Moon Knight is the Batman version of Marvel, or Marvel's version of Batman. And Sentry is like the Superman version for Marvel, but at the same time, they bring in some darkness to it. So
Yeah.
I'm cool with him being in the movie. I just was wondering how they were going to flesh this out and how they were going to nerf him because he's way too fucking powerful. And even from watching the trailers where people are essentially getting turned into shadows, like, oh, all right, well, this guy could just literally will someone's molecular structure and just poof, you're gone. How do you beat that? How do you beat that?
Well, didn't they go somewhere else?
Yeah, they went to like Bucky caught them, and then they were like, okay, well, we need to stop Valentina because she's the true villain in this whole thing. So that's where, and at that point, Bob had realized his powers because the army shot him, and then he just flew off, and then he crash landed after everything, so he kind of blacked out. So they took him to a secondary location, but that's where Valentina did like
Yeah.
the little interviews with him and got him like on her side. She basically just manipulated him and just be like, no, you could be so great, everything that you've always wanted to be. Like just talking down to him. It's like, hey, you're a big piece of shit, but you could be so much better. You deserve it. And so I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus does an amazing job of creating that false expectation of like, this is the way you talk to a child that you want to manipulate, is that you were just not great, but you can be great. And I can help you do that. And so I thought that was a masterful performance. And you kind of feel for Bob because, like, yeah, based off of what he was saying and kind of just what they'd say about his character, he's nothing special. You know, he was kind of just getting by and did meth for a little while. And so, yeah, he has some downsides to his arc and his personality. But who's the bigger bad guy? The person who has had a hard life that makes some questionable choices, or the person that is manipulating that person to make them believe that they can be just a hero, but all they are is just a weapon.
It wasn't it said that it's the man, not the muscle, or something like that, right? Isn't that the Captain America way? It's the men.
The man, not the shield.
Yeah.
That's-
But I think that it's really interesting to me, this character in general, and that we got to this place through experimentation. The reason we don't know Sentry is because his comic debut was in 2000. And that was, I was on hiatus from reading comics at that point. I was reading other things, other publications. Um, so that's why we don't like identify as much with this character per se, but I agree, like the overpowering, definitely a kind of a weird thing. It's not very Marvel in that way. I liked the fact that he could be talked down, but I didn't like that Bob just can't harness the powers at all then.
it is kind of like a slippery slope, right? Because you have this super powerful being, but he's also mentally unstable. So what do you do with that? Are you
Well,
okay with that version of nerfing the character? Because that's a big thing. Like, everyone who has a complaint about strong characters in Marvel is usually like, oh, they nerfed the Hulk. Like, oh, they totally nerfed Thor in the last movie. And so that's kind of like the popular thing to say. But I think you need to
that
do that in movies because it's grounded in reality. This isn't a comic book page. Otherwise, the Hulk would whoop the shit out of everyone. Thor could just whoop the shit out of everyone, and Sentry could whoop the shit out of everyone. Like, why not just have those three people? Who cares about everyone else?
um I think they did that. It was called World War Hulk. But I think that there's a little bit of a different situation here with Sentry, right? Because Hulk still can Hulk, but Bob can't utilize any of the powers. I equate everything back to Star Wars sometimes, right? So if you look at, say, Anakin and Sentry, right? The chosen ones, if you will. Anakin Darkseid, more powerful because he pushes past the limits that he sets on himself as a Jedi. In this situation, Bob doesn't even have limits. He's just like doesn't pick up the lightsaber. So it's either full on everything or full on nothing. And that doesn't balance right for me. Now he goes from being the most powerful character arguably in the MCU to Ned.
He did the dishes.
But that's what I mean. He's fucking Ned. And that makes no sense.
So
Did that
how do
make
you
sense
think
to
that?
you? Like, seriously, it made no sense if there was no balance of power. If you want to bring that person back on that retribution arc, they should be able to use that power that they used to destroy for good.
I think that, it's 14 months later in the end credits scene. And I think that just for Bob's safety and everyone else's safety, they're like, hey, don't push on your powers because you can't control it yet. And so that's the reasoning as to why. Like, he's almost like the last ditch effort, in my opinion, that maybe just like how Hulk was in Age of Ultron. It's like, oh, is it time for a code green? Like, okay, yep, code green. Send the fucking berserker in, and he'll clean house. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of where Bob is for the Thunderbolts, and because you even hear Red Guardian Alexi say like, "Oh, it would be really great if we could have a sentry, like he could fly us up there or whatever." So I think they've done stuff like that to where Bob has come out a little bit as sentry, just as a last ditch effort, or like, hey, I really need some help right now. I could use some sentry power. And he comes in and mows some people down, or at least acts as a human shield and stops bullets or anything like that.
You're making full assumptions with that. They never showed that. They showed
No,
him
but
doing an Elder Price and turning it off like a light switch for all of you Book of Mormon fans. He just pushed it way down and that was it.
yeah, but I mean, my take of it is like Alexi's not going to say something 14 months later and allude to something like that. You know what I mean? Something has happened before. Bob's done something to be there because, like, why wouldn't he just be in the raft or something like that and keep him out of circulation so he doesn't hurt anybody? But I think it's like a big group therapy thing. Like they all have to stick together to kind of keep each other on task, hold each other accountable, and honestly, kind of be that security blanket for each other. My take of it is like, okay, there's a little bit of camaraderie there. Do they hate each other? Sure. Do they love ripping on Walker? Yeah, they absolutely do. They don't like John Walker. But that's every group of friends has to have like that asshole that the people don't like, but they still have him around anyways because he's a good time or he does certain things that help others. So I think that's that part of that team dynamic. But Walker also understands, like, yeah, I'm not really liked based off of all the memes I've been reading. Like, yeah, that's 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 kind of like the fun little quip that I love seeing because, like, yeah, who is Captain America or who are the real Avengers? Like you have the Dime Tree or the is it Dollar Tree or Dime Store Captain America, whatever they called him.
Mhm.
Uh, that's a great take and spin on that character is that he's always going to be in the shadow. But what is even more interesting is that Bucky is now leading these Thunderbolts, and he's kind of this is the first time that he's actually been a part of a team. He's fought alongside others, but never really been a part of a team before.
He was part of the Howling Commandos, my guy.
Well, I'm talking about
Best
post Winter
team
Soldier.
ever.
Post Winter Soldier. It's refreshing to see him as a part of a team because he hasn't had a team in a while. He hasn't even really had a partner. Even with Sam, he was a reluctant buddy buddy cop film or TV show with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, and then you've got, Alexi, Red Guardian. He's the only one that wants the team to be a team. He's the only one that thinks they're actually a team, which is hilarious. He's always just trying to keep everyone together, and he's all gung ho about everything. He's making buddies with Bucky, talking about the type of serums that they have. It's a cool dynamic that he brings. I think you're right though. Ghost doesn't add a whole lot. They do give her some really cool action sequences, and she's a strong character, so she's not like a pushover, like an awful like, oh, yep, we just have this character here. I don't think it's something like that, but could they have fleshed her out? Sure. Will they in the future? Maybe. Maybe she'll get wiped out in the Doomsday movie. Who knows? I think that's going to be an interesting way how Marvel needs to close the chapter or close the book on the Infinity Saga and multiverse chapters and everything. So how are they going to do that? They're going to reset with the X-Men in the future. So I think that's just I don't think we're going to get a whole lot of Ghost, but it would be cool if we did.
I mean, candidly, if you were looking at expendable characters in Doomsday, the only ones that aren't expendable on the Thunderbolts are Bucky, Yelena, and maybe Red Guardian.
I don't know, man. I think they all are. They're all expendable
I
because
mean,
if they're not going to, and maybe they'll ride off into the sunset, maybe, but at the same time, I don't think we're going to be seeing them at least the characters in this iteration of the MCU, I don't think we're going to be seeing them going forward. I think it's just going to be heavily focused on the X-Men. I had read somewhere that Feige is basically just trying to do a creative overhaul on everything, and the focus is going to be on the X-Men for like the next 10 years, and hopefully that'll actually work because we've kind of done the Avengers thing. Like, what else are we going to see? Do we want to see more Avengers movies after Secret Wars? If it's not the Avengers that we know and love, probably not. So why not build up the other teams like the X-Men is the next logical thing to do. Do you think you want to see more Avengers stuff after all of the movies play out?
I look at it like Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movies. Do I need all of them? No. Do I watch them because they entertain me? Yes. Do they come only every like 3 years? Yes. And I think that is the problem that exists now in the MCU is it is a constant influx, right? And there's no divergence from that. You got a lot of balls you're juggling in the air. And because you have to constantly use the Marvel properties, you can't give space to them either. So that's the thing that kind of gets me. Star Wars has a similar problem, but they can focus on different areas. And I think that Marvel tries to do that, but instead of releasing one TV show or two TV shows in a year, they have like five. Right? It's like almost something new every other month. While they release these new characters or these lesser loved or younger from a comics years characters, right? These newer um, Marvel characters, like I'm not as bought in. I want to see my favorites. Are you going to watch the copy of a copy of a copy of something? You know, so I think it's good that they're focusing on a tectonic change. I think that the part that doesn't work for me is that they think that they could just do it with the X-Men. Fox did like 9 X-Men movies.
All but two of them, two and a half, were poor.
Yeah,
So
but it's like okay, now we're just gonna redo the like we know the story.
so
It's
you
like
don't want to
Batman.
see the X-Men?
It's not that I don't. It's
You don't
that
want to see a better version of the X-Men, I should say.
I mean
You're happy with the horse shit that we had.
based on Marvel's current like track record outside of maybe this movie and I don't even consider like Deadpool Wolverine a Marvel win. That's not them doing that's just Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman doing a thing. Without those two, if that was any other people, I don't think you get the same Deadpool attitude, and I don't think we'd be that stoked on the Wolverine thing. Like I just don't. Without all the work that they did beforehand. So now you're bringing in a new set of actors. We don't know who they are. They've burned through most of the big action stars in Hollywood that we have like a deep emotional attachment to. So who are you going to put in those seats? They couldn't even get the guy from The Walking Dead in the role they wanted to because they couldn't get him to schedule Marvel as a priority. I know you have an expectation and a love of the X-Men, and I hope they're good, but I'm not like, whew, yeah, they're gonna go X-Men. I'm just like, yeah, they're gonna do more movies. And I never thought I'd be like disappointed that there's gonna be more Marvel movies. I just want quality and good stories, and there's so many stories they could tap into with some of those OG characters too.
I
Sorry.
mean, they're doing that. That's the whole point of the Feige overhaul. So like it's apparently like there's a lot of buzz that they're just trying to go back to the well, but also reinvigorate the Marvel Cinematic Universe just by doing good quality movies. And this was kind of like the template for it. So Jake Schreier, the director of Thunderbolts, came in and Feige handpicked him because he wanted it to be more of a character-driven story. Um, I can't remember the last character-driven Marvel movie. Maybe Spider-Man: No Way Home. But other than that, I guess you could probably look at the Guardians trilogy as doing that. But I I don't know. Is there any others that are super character-driven like this one was?
I think they wanted the Marvels to be. I think that they wanted a couple different things to be. right? But the writing wasn't there because they got, they let the best write. I mean, they rode Marcus and McFeely and the brothers all the way to the bank, but then like, you can't go from Godfather to My Blue Heaven and expect them to hold up in the same way, right? It's not. You can't go Goodfellas and My Blue Heaven, even though it's the same character. You can't, right? Because the quality of the writing, the quality of the direction is the thing that we're getting when we see these insane movies. There's a reason Black Panther was so good. It was Coogler that fucking made that thing what it is. There's a reason that all the Captain America movies and then the later Avengers movies and Endgame and Infinity War were that good. It was because the directors and the writers had this in-tuned symbiosis, and there's a reason that they still work together. So
So with the story of everything, so like we talk about the whole mental health theme, we talk about like the different characters. Any other characters that you just really liked or appreciated their performances?
I don't think there was a bad. I give shit to Ghost as a character for not being, if a big driver of the plot, but I don't think there's any bad like I don't think there's any bad acting in this movie. I will say that, Wendell Pierce, shout out to my guy from Hackers, just showing up as the man again, right? Taking everybody down, while they're all just hacking the planet. So, but I don't, I give shit to Lewis Pullman and Wyatt Russell about being Nepo babies, but they're fucking good.
I love Wyatt Russell. I love his US agent character and I love the way he plays it. He's
Yeah.
just a natural prick. And I like that in a team. Like there has to be that person
Yeah.
on the team. Olga Kurylenko kind of got a raw deal, but a lot of people hated Taskmaster to begin with, just because it wasn't the true
Yeah.
adaptation from the comics. A lot of people were thinking like, oh, maybe this will be the way that they can introduce Tony Masters, the true Taskmaster, into the MCU. Maybe, maybe not. I'm assuming they won't touch it ever again until it comes up in like an X-Men movie or something like that. But uh, Geraldine Viswanathan as Mel. What did you think about her character? She was kind of like Valentina's sidekick and assistant. Did you know who she was?
I didn't know who she was. Um, she was in Blockers, I think, right? The one
Yeah,
with John
yeah.
Cena. Um, but yeah, I was
Underrated movie. Underrated movie. That was funny.
very funny, great movie. But like she didn't look significantly familiar to me. Like, oh, I know her,
Yeah.
right? I knew she was in that, but I mean, if you look at her IMDb, like she hasn't been in a ton of like big giant movies.
You know the character Mel?
No.
It you can kind of see in some of the production stills. There's a pendant that she's wearing, and she's supposed to be Songbird from the comics. So I can't remember her actual name. It's like Melissa something. But Songbird is who she's supposed to be, who is a member, like a superhero. So maybe Valentina's, maybe in original drafts, Valentina was going to experiment on her or something, and she gets superpowers or anything like that. Or maybe she's just hiding in plain sight. Maybe she's a mutant. Maybe she doesn't want people to know that she has powers. But that was something that I was expecting to see something happen, but never paid off. But it is kind of cool just to kind of see those Easter eggs. I'm fully aware that you can't pack a movie with every single comic book character and you can't flesh it out for, because runtimes would be insane. But I thought she was a cool addition. And the fact that she's on speed dial with Bucky, that was kind of cool. And yeah, I liked everyone in the cast overall. I think that my least favorite out of everyone is just Valentina, Julia Louise-Dreyfus, is just because she's such a bitch. But I like that because that's exactly who she should be playing. So that's my only thing that is even remotely close to Marthaing me throughout this entire movie. But what did you think about the action?
The action in the movie was great until it was non-existent. All the scenes in the lead up and the mid were great. I think the action or lack thereof in like the talking and talking Bob down in the end and resolving things with words
That was an interesting take. I did not
was
see
the
that
thing that
coming at
right.
all.
And and so it's the right way to resolve the problem, like the situation. It's not wrong. And it speaks back to what you were talking about earlier. It's, is mental health the right subject to come in to these movies, and is that the crux of defeating a villain, being able to help them and support them to release some of their pain that then translates into their negative impact on the world. Again, it's a valuable conversation to have, and it's a valuable thing to highlight. It's just not in the muscle memory of movies with Avengers either in the beginning of the title or eventually as part of the title. And that is what caught me a little off guard and kind of had me like almost nodding off at the end of that. I'm just like, what, they're not gonna, okay.
Yeah, where's the third act
Right.
CGI big
That's what
fight,
I mean.
right?
Like the third act was short and direct and deep and powerful, but like not that, Avengers level third act. And I think that that's speaking to a different audience and speaking to a more mature audience and giving them something different, right? It's not for us necessarily, right? It's not for you and me who've been watching action movies since we shouldn't have been able to watch action movies and building this comfort level with a rhythm. It's speaking to a different generation, and that's the beautiful thing about art, is it's designed to speak in a multifaceted way. So did it ruin the movie? No. Did it Martha me a little bit? And then I had to reflect a little on, it's good in general. But the third act was so abrupt. And the
Yeah.
we're taking you in to now you're the new Avengers was like that. You could have, you're not even going to spit on it first. Like, come on. Right. So
See, I
that,
love that. I love the fact that you thought that Valentina was going to get her comeuppance, and instead they cross that little barrier, and she just has like a full press conference going. Like, I thought that was so genius. Oh God, what a bitch! Like, she's so smart that she could play this off this way.
how do
And then I
none of
thought,
these people realize that there's press there? And how does press stay there during this cataclysmic happening?
well, I mean, it was all done. That everyone was all good. They gave each other a hug. Everyone came back, and then
The press
reporters were like, "Holy shit,
came
we
in,
need to get
oh,
there."
it's time for the press conference. We got to go.
Technically, they were probably already there.
That's what I mean. They would have dispersed.
Yeah, yeah,
And there's
that's
no
true.
way that tarp would have stayed up.
So I can kind of see your point on that, but what about the new Avengers as it's laid out? You didn't like that?
I mean, I don't mind it. I like that they're kicking it and showing that this is going to be a team moving forward, and showing that there's factions now as well in the argument with Sam Wilson, right? How he's got the Avengers trademark and now they're the new Avengers asterisk, right? They're showing there's like Avengers East and West almost, right? It's
Yeah,
going back to a comic concept that we understand. Though those guys used to borrow back and forth members, obviously in this situation that's not going to be the case, but this is Avengers West and Sam Wilson is Avengers.
technically it's East because they're in New York.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. I love the fact that like, oh my God, that she's gonna call them the new Avengers. That is fucking ballsy. And that's a ballsy move for Marvel to do, and especially the marketing. Fucking genius on that. I don't know if you've seen any of the clips of Sebastian Stan walking around town and replacing the Thunderbolts poster with the new Avengers posters, but I thought that was really cool because yeah, now you kind of understand that asterisks is yeah, that's the new Avengers. They're supposed to be the new Avengers, and interesting spin on it. I didn't see it coming. I thought it was just going to be like, yeah, the Thunderbolts, but they're probably going to die, some of them. So
But
there's not
but
really a team.
I was so I'll tell you this. It's the first time it's ever been done in cinema history that they've changed the name of a movie during its cinematic release. So it's something brand new. But the new Avengers, while it has a certain sentimental hold, I kind of loved the sentimental hold of the name Thunderbolts. And I was waiting for somebody to take a poop in the middle of the field.
A lot of people are thinking that the true Thunderbolts team will come out in the future. I think that's stretching a little bit. I think that's kind of just wishful thinking.
Just like the true Guardians of the Galaxy were going to come out.
Right, exactly. And where did that happen?
It did.
Nowhere.
It
It
did.
was one of the
Well,
most.
technically, at the end of three, they
They come
they
back,
they showed them, but they weren't the Guardians. They were just the alumni as part of
yeah,
the Ravagers.
and they
But
weren't even all together. Not all of them were all together.
yeah,
It was
I know. But I'm just saying, like, it was there just for all those listeners who love to call us out for not knowing shit. We knew this one. We did. We knew it. We didn't know who, the baddie in this was, right? We didn't know who Spectre was. I know his name's not Spectre. I just like to fuck with people. But I think that we didn't know that, but at least we know about the Guardians. I don't know.
I have no idea what you're trying to say right
I
there.
don't
So
either. That was a little tangential, but that's okay.
yeah, like I think for the new Avengers, I think of Wolverine, Luke Cage, and like that roster. So obviously that's not going to happen, but at the same time, it was still kind of cool. I think another thing from the art perspective is the music. This score was sweet. I don't think there's a score besides, it's not as good as the original Avengers, but it's pretty strong. It is pretty freaking strong. And I would probably say it's probably top five themes for all the superhero movies. Like you got the Avengers, you got Guardians, Spider-Man. The that trilogy was really great, and I'm just talking about the MCU themes. So I think right after that, it's going to be Thunderbolts. It is a fucking powerful score, and the music nerd in me was like, yeah, I would have loved to play this when I was in band back in the day.
I'm going to tell you this, and it's going to really disappoint you.
Mm-mm.
Music didn't stand out to me. It was good. It aligned. I was never like, what the fuck music is this? But it didn't like I wasn't like,
Really?
oh,
So when
like
Bucky
maybe
came out and that theme was playing,
the
you
but
weren't
he
like,
they
"Oh
played
shit."
the Winter Soldier theme from the Winter Soldier movie.
Did they? I don't think they did.
It had an undertone of that,
Maybe,
right?
yeah, it had undertones, but yeah, it was
I
like
mean,
a whole new band, Sun Lux or Lux Sun, whatever. I
mhm.
can't remember who it is, but they did the soundtrack for it, or the score, I should say, and yeah, it was pretty cool. And the Thunderbolts theme at the very end is very similar to the Avengers theme. It has just, like the same tempo, the same beginning, but then it kind of goes off into its own. I think it's more of a delicate theme, which kind of plays off of the whole dynamic of the team. This is a very fucking delicate team. They all have weird temperaments. Most of them are probably mentally unstable, and
Most.
that's where most. I think honestly, the person that has the most mental wits to them, Ghost and Red Guardian. They know exactly what they are, exactly what they're doing. Walker, he's got some issues, and I'll just blame that on the serum and any PTSD from any previous combat. But Bucky has his own thing, and then Yelena obviously has her issues. But Ghost and Red Guardian are just fine. I don't see any issues with them at all, other than the fact that yeah, Ghost was tortured for a majority of her life just because of
Mhm.
that phasing in and out stuff. But Alexi's been the same person day in, day out, from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, he's like a Russian golden retriever. Of course, you like Alexei.
He's great. He's so funny. And I going back to the What If episode with him and the Winter Soldier, so fun, so much fun. I was hoping we were gonna get more of that, but even better, we got him interacting individually with all the other teammates too. So it was pretty sweet. Popular music in this movie too. Did you like the during the post credit scene when Alexi's showing the Wheaties box with them on it? That little song on there.
Yeah, yeah, I thought that was really funny. I thought the reaction to him being a creeper was really funny because he had his giant porn star mustache going.
Yeah.
Um,
Looked so average
Yeah,
dude at the grocery
yeah,
store.
just just total dad. But it was look, I'm on the Wheaties box.
Yeah. That was good. He's so fucking funny and entertaining.
David Harbour.
Harbor can do no wrong. I always think about Mannequin, the movie, but now I'm always going to think about Thunderbolts. So I'm glad that they use that song, because nothing's going to stop us now. It's great. It's so fucking fantastic, and I can't wait to see what else the MCU has to offer. But before we get to that, I've got a question for you, Mark.
What? That's shocking.
When it comes to the Thunderbolts or the new Avengers, can you do this all day?
So this is hard. It's harder than I thought it would be because while I enjoyed it, it's one of the movies where I didn't leave like, oh, I gotta watch this again and see what I missed. Like it didn't. I'm not there. I'm gonna watch it again. Like, don't get me wrong, and but I'm not stressing to go back to the theater and watch it. And I have the like, I recently resubscribed to the AMC thing where you get like 3 free movies a week. I'm not. It would be free basically for me to go, and I'm not even making the time for it. I'll see it on Disney Plus when it hits there, and I'll watch it that way. But um, yeah, I mean, I'm not really geeked to see it again. So for that reason, because of the amount of things that are out there that I can tell if it's on my rewatch list consistently or not, I'm gonna say I cannot do this all day.
Mhm. Okay. Interesting.
I feel like that is not your sentiment, but I can't make assumptions. I can only ask you, Dan, when it comes to Thunderbolts, Asterisk, the new Avengers. Do you disagree? Can you do this all day?
So I did not say this earlier in the episode, just because I wanted to save it for the end, but I left that movie theater confused because I wasn't sure if what I saw was what I was expecting or hoping for, or it just there's something that didn't settle right with me at the end of that movie. And it was just the confusion about the third act. And I was like, well, so wait a second, that was it? Like that's where I was like kind of let down. It's like this is it. It's not it's going to end in one big group hug and that's it. Which bold fucking move. Very bold fucking move. I think it works, but when I walked out of the theater, like I wasn't sure. I really liked it. I had such a great time throughout the movie. And the cool thing about it was the crowd in the theater was alive. Like they were cheering when Bucky came on the screen. They clapped at the end. They gave it, a nice little applause at the end. And so I know I had a good time. I know I enjoyed parts of the movie. But because it was such a 180 from what they normally do for a third act, I was just, I was shocked and stunned. So I didn't know how to process it. Uh, After thinking about it and thinking about what I liked about the movie and going back to, well, people always complain that Marvel does the same old thing every time. When it comes to a third act, it's a big CGI fight, battle boss, here we go. Uh, there was a lot of CGI in it, but it wasn't so crazy that it was like, oh wow, they're fighting, a 100-foot dark shadowy figure. So that's where it was just like, okay, it's something different. It's a topic very, very relevant and also very relevant to the characters on screen. So I like that they brought that type of dynamic. But the music was great. The action was really, really solid. I had a good time with just about every single character, even with Taskmaster getting shot in the head point blank. I had a good time with that. I think I was one of the only few in the theater that's like, just, I think I said, oh shit, out loud and next to my kids and everything because I just didn't see that coming. So it had surprises. Um, the music, fantastic. I think I'll. It's a tough one though, because normally whenever I have that initial reaction when I'm coming out of theater, and I can't do this all day. But I think because I know I will rewatch it, and I was going to rewatch it last night, but I decided not to. Uh, I'm going to say I can do this all day. It's not the strongest I can do this all day. It's not like Avengers Endgame or Avengers Infinity War, or not even a No Way Home. But I would probably say this is a very solid, I can do this all day.
Yeah, it's not. I like it. I like it. I figured that you would. The music gets you, the action gets you, and for me, I agree. I agree. It's so on the borderline to reference another good 80s song that we should get in a Marvel movie. But I agree. It's so on the borderline that that's why I'm not going to pick it back up. But I love it. We seem to end like this a lot. Diametrically opposed, light, dark, Avengers, Star Wars. It just works for us.
Let me ask you a really quick question. Did you like this better than Captain America Brave New World? Wow, just the fact that you're taking that long to answer is shocking to me.
I haven't. It's been a minute since I saw Brave New World, right? So I'm just trying to think back to it. And there's a lot of quippage in this movie, which I liked. So it's very close for me. I think
Okay.
that's the side of the fence for me, right? That's the diametric closeness. I love the Cap character, the arc that character can take, and the way that they did the Isaiah Bradley piece of it, and just continued along that storyline. And it's true hero, not anti-hero, where on the other side of it is a little different.
Fair enough. Well, that wraps it up for another episode of I Can Do This All Day. I'm Dan, the Part-Time Avenger. That is Mark, the Resident Jedi.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know if you liked this better than the new Captain America film. Let us know where we messed up, and let us know what you like, but always give us 5-star reviews on every platform. Again, like, subscribe, hit us up on the socials. I Can Do This All Day podcast across the board. I'm excited that we're gonna get more and more new movies this year. And this was a good kickoff to what hopefully is just better and better.
Nice little kickoff to the summer so far. I hope it continues, and I know it will continue with some really great episodes that we're going to be coming out with. Just as a preview, we're going to be doing Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. I believe we're going to be doing Karate Kid Legends, and maybe we'll do Ballerina, part of the John Wick's universe. So who knows? Maybe that's going to be coming up in the summer. But until next time, we will see you all later.